This video will walk you through the process to update and submit your New York State Grants Gateway Document Vault for the first time. Before working on the Document Vault, your organization must be registered with the Grants Gateway, and you must have saved your organization information page as described in the previous video. The purpose of the Document Vault is to show that your organization follows appropriate policies and practices. In order to do this, you must fill out the required forms and attach the required documents in the Document Vault. You then submit your Document Vault for review by a state agency. The state agency representative will review your Document Vault content and either approve the sections of the vault or send it back to you to ask for clarification or updated information. Once all sections have been approved, your organization will be marked as pre-qualified, which means that you are able to apply for any grant opportunity you would like. It is important to have your Document Vault in the pre-qualified status before applying for a grant or receiving a contract for signature. To begin working on the Document Vault, the grantee delegated administrator must first log into the system. Our grantee delegated administrator has a task because our Document Vault is in the initialized status. So there are two ways to access the Document Vault in this case. One is clicking on the name of the vault in the My Tasks section, or the other is scrolling to the Organizations button, clicking on that link, and clicking on the Document Vault link from the Organizations page. The Document Vault is separated into several sections, with the first section being the PQ number history. This is a unique number that is assigned each time your organization is pre-qualified and is just a reference number in case it is needed for certain other applications. Next is the Required Forms section, which includes questions and forms related to the way your organization is run and the services that your organization can perform. The next section is the Not-for-Profit Required Documents. These are documents that would have been filed by your organization at some point, and it includes your most recent financial information as well. After the Required Documents section, there is a link to submit your Document Vault for review in the Status Change section. You will be clicking this link to submit your Document Vault for review once all of our required forms and documents have been completed. Next is the Optional Documents section, which includes documents that are not required for pre-qualification but may be asked for during the application and contract development process. While the required sections can only be updated while the Document Vault is open, or in our case in the initialized status, the Optional Documents section can be edited at any time. Below the Optional Documents section is the Management Screen section. This includes links to management tools that will be useful later on in the process after your Document Vault has been submitted to the state for review. Note that there are detailed written instructions in the Vendor Pre-Qualification Manual, which can be found linked from the grantsreform.ny.gov website. The Vendor Pre-Qualification Manual can be found on the Grantees tab in the Quick Link section near the bottom. Click the link to the Vendor Pre-Qualification Manual to view and download this PDF. The PDF includes details on how to answer and fill out your Document Vault. We will now begin to work on our Document Vault for the first time, scrolling to the Organization Capacity section in the Required Forms. Click on the Organization Capacity link and answer the questions in the form. The answer for most of these questions should be yes for most not-for-profit organizations. Answer these questions accurately and completely by clicking the radio button, and make sure to hit the Save button when you are done. When you save a page, you will receive the page information, the information has been saved green light. Make sure that you don't leave the page without hitting Save. Once you save, you can either scroll down on this page to the other pages in this section, or you can scroll back to the top, click on the Document Vault link, and be back to the main Document Vault page. Notice that on the main Document Vault page, the icons next to each form or document shows which items you have worked on and which items you have not yet. Also on the right side of the screen, you will find a created by and last modified by date and timestamp with the user's name. Next is the Organization Compliance form. This form is a mixture of yes/no answers with some checkboxes and text entry fields. Your answers to these questions depend on the size of your organization, but again, most not-for-profit organizations will have these policies in place. Question number 5 is a list that requires you to check the types of items that the board reviews or approves. For question number 8, we would like to see that you have different people authorized to sign contracts and fiscal documents. Question number 11 also includes several checkboxes. Make sure that you scroll through the list to ensure that you see all policies. Guidance for and the reasoning behind these questions are detailed in the Vendor Pre-Qualification Manual found on the Grants Reform website. Section 4 of this manual will walk you through the different questions, the reasoning behind them, and how to answer them. For question number 11, the items in bold are those that are required of smaller organizations. Those policies include anti-nepotism, staff code of conduct, a board of directors conflict of interest policy, a standard conflict of interest policy, a diversity policy, a whistleblower policy, fiscal internal controls policy, and supervision and performance evaluation policy. Once you have selected the appropriate items in question number 11, continue with question 12. Notice question 13, which asks you to upload your certificate of assumed name or DBA, if applicable, in the optional documents section of the document vault. Question number 14 references MWBE, the Minority Women Business Enterprise Policy, which is also referenced in the Vendor Pre-Qualification Manual. Notice that an MWBE policy is now required for all New York State not-for-profit vendors, and goals will be applied to New York State grants contracts. Again, when you have completed answering the questions on this page, click the Save button to save this form. We can now click on the Document Vault link to get to the main Document Vault page, or scroll down to the bottom of this form to go to the next form, which is the Organization Integrity form. The integrity questions pertain to matters of organizational and business ethics, and many are drawn directly from the Vendor Responsibility Form, which most not-for-profits should be familiar with. They are structured in a simple yes or no format. Yes answers will in most cases invite further inquiry from the pre-qualification specialists or their supervisors within the state agency. Answer each question and then hit the Save button when you are done. Again, we can go to the Document Vault main page by clicking the link, or continue in this section by going to the bottom and clicking on the next form, which is Service Descriptors. These next two sections, Service Descriptors and Service Capacity, are demographic in nature and will only be reviewed for completeness. On the Service Descriptors form, use the checkboxes to select the appropriate answers in questions 1, 2, and 4. For question number 3, work from left to right to narrow down your answers if any apply. Note that not all items will have corresponding selections for the third or fourth levels. You do not need to select more than one line, and again, remember to hit the Save button when you are done with this form. Next, we will go to the Service Capacity section, again by either clicking the main Document Vault page or scrolling to the bottom and clicking on that last link. On this form, choose the services that your organization has the capacity to deliver. The levels start out broad and then become narrower as you drill down. There are links to human services taxonomy descriptions and non-human services taxonomy descriptions to help you fill out this form. Note that the list scrolls to the right to get to levels 4, 5, and 6, if applicable. Once you select the services that your organization has the capacity to deliver, you must then answer yes or no questions related to that. Notice by clicking yes, the form will open up to allow you to enter information about contracts you may have had related to those services. Clicking no will give you a second question asking if key staff members employed by your organization have experience delivering the selected service. Again, clicking yes to this one opens it up, allowing you to enter in staff information. Again, when you are done with this page, hit the Save button to save this form. Now that we are done with all required forms, we need to go back to the main Document Vault page to get to the next section, Required Documents. In this section, you will be attaching PDF copies of organizational documents. The first item is the Certificate of Incorporation. Scroll down to the Upload section and use the Browse button to locate and attach your organization's Certificate of Incorporation or equivalent document. Then fill out the date issued, and hit the Save button. You will notice a processing message where the Save button was until the document has been saved. It is a good idea to double check the attached document to make sure that your uploaded document is the correct one. You can do this by clicking on the View File link. In this case, this is the document that I have attached. If the document you have attached is incorrect, click on the Delete checkbox and then click Save to remove that document. You will then have the ability to go back to the Upload section, click on Browse, and locate the correct document. Again, don't forget to hit Save when you are done. We can now move on to the next section, again either clicking on the Document Vault main page or scrolling to the bottom and going to the next item. In this case, it is the IRS 501c determination letter. Like the previous option, use the Browse button to locate the document and then enter the date that it was issued. Again, click the Save button, wait for it to process, and move on to the next page. Again, click on the Main Document Vault link or scroll to the bottom to go to the next document. These next three documents are items that must be provided on a yearly basis and because of that have due dates. That would be the IRS 990, the Audit Reviews and Findings, and the Charities 500 or Charities 410 documents. We will start by clicking on the IRS 990. On this page, you will attach your IRS 990 and fill out the date fields. First, click on the Browse button and locate the document you are attaching. In this case, it should be the completed and signed IRS 990 form from the most recently completed fiscal year. For the last filing date field, enter the date that the document you are attaching was signed or submitted. For the tax year, enter the tax year that you are uploading the document for. Remember, the tax year is the date that the fiscal year started. So if your fiscal year overlaps years, make sure to use the year that the fiscal year began. In our example, we are entering information for tax year 2014, which began on January 1st, 2014 and ended on December 31st, 2014. The Grants Gateway Document Vault uses the Date Next Due fields to trigger the expiration dates and the reminder emails that are sent to you. Your organization's IRS 990 forms are due 6 months after each fiscal year ends. In this example, we are filling out our 2014 form for the fiscal year that ended on December 31st, 2014. Your date next due will be 18 months later, or June 30th, 2016. Again, the fiscal year end date in this example is December 31st. This field looks for the month and day only. Once you have completed these fields and attached your document, click the Save button to save your IRS 990 form. This second example is for a fiscal year that spans from 2 calendar years. The fiscal year in this example begins on April 1st and ends on March 31st. Like in the previous example, first click the Browse button to attach your document and fill out the last filing date, which would be the date that the document you are attaching was signed or submitted. For the tax year, enter the tax year that you are uploading the document for. Since this tax year spans from April 1st, 2014 to March 31st, 2015, we enter 2014 here. The Date Next Due field is based on the end of the fiscal year. This date will be 18 months after the fiscal year that was just filed, or 6 months after the current fiscal year. Since we are filing the 2014 documents now, Our 2015 documents will be due on September 30th, 2016. Again, this is for a fiscal year that ends on March 31st. Hit the Save button to save your IRS 990. If you don't yet have an IRS 990 form for the last completed fiscal year, we will accept the IRS Form 8868 extension. Extensions are granted in 3-month increments, so the due date would be 3 months after your IRS due date, or the actual date that the extension expires. The next section is the Audit Reviews and Findings, which again can be located by scrolling to the bottom or clicking on the main Document Vault link on the top of the page. Not-for-profit organizations must upload their most recent CPA review, independent audit, or A133 audit, and any material findings. If your organization does not yet have any of these, you will need to upload a document with your budgets for the current and most recent fiscal year. The date fields will be the same that you used for your IRS 990 entries. Again, if an extension is granted, we will accept the extension in place of the document with the actual expiration date of the extension to be filled out in the date next audit is due. Fill out the page and click the Save button. The next section is the CHAR 500 or CHAR 410. If your organization is a newly formed not-for-profit, you will have a CHAR 410 to file. Otherwise, each year you'll be asked to file a CHAR 500 form. These forms come from the Charities Bureau at the State Attorney General's office. Like the previous two sections, upload the most recent charities form and enter the date that it was filed. The date next due is slightly different here because the Charities Bureau does not require you to request an extension. Because of this, you can enter your next due date as the 15th day of the 23rd month after the end of the current fiscal year. In our case, since I am in fiscal year 2015, the next filing date will be due on November 15th, 2016. Again, click the Save button and move to the next item. The next item in the list is the Board of Directors profile. This is another section that has an upload and an effective date. We do provide an example Board of Directors profile on the Grants Reform website in the Quick Links section. You'll notice here a sample Board of Directors profile document. This document should include board member names, affiliations, a list of the board committees and chairs, and a list of the board officers. Again, click the Browse button, locate the document, attach it, and type in the effective date. Don't forget to hit the Save button and move on to the next section, which is Senior Leadership Resumes. We can find that scrolling to the bottom or again clicking on the main Document Vault link. Not-for-profits must upload the resumes or CVs of the senior leadership team. The positions included should be Chief Executive Officer, Chief Operating Officer, Chief Financial Officer, Executive Director, President, or other high-ranking officials. Individuals should upload their own resume or CV. Notice that since there is only one location for an upload, all resumes must be combined into a single PDF. Again, hit the Browse button, locate the document, type in the effective date, and hit the Save button. Finally, the last section is the corporate bylaws. Not-for-profits must upload a proper and complete copy of their corporate bylaws that have been formally adopted by the agency board. Click on Browse, locate the document, attach it, and type in the effective date and the date issued. And click the Save button to save this final document. We have now filled out every required form and attached every required document in our Document Vault. And we are now ready to submit our Document Vault for review. To submit your Document Vault, scroll to the Status Change section and click on the link, Click here to submit your Document Vault. You will see a yellow note that lets you know that you will not be able to make changes in the document vault unless a state agency user sends it back to you for modifications. So please make sure that your changes are complete before pressing the Submit Document Vault button. Click on the button, and you will be brought to the agreement page. Please read the MWBE certification section and the mandatory certification section and click the I agree button. Clicking I agree will process your document vault, sending it to the state agency for review. We can see that the current status has now been changed to Document Vault in Review. After you submit your document vault, you will receive an email from the system stating that your document vault has been successfully submitted, and you will receive an email notification when the review of your document vault is complete. So look for further emails that will tell you if there are modifications required or if your document vault has been pre-qualified. There are a few links in the Management Tools section at the bottom of the Document Vault screen that we can refer to for information now and during the Document Vault update process. First is the State Pre-Qualification Application Status Report. Click on this to view a PDF that shows you the status of all required documents and forms and will display any comments from your reviewers. If the document vault was sent back to you for modifications, you would look here in the Comments for Vendor field for guidance on the issues noted by your reviewer. The IRS 990, Audit, and Charities 500 documents will also show the expiration date once they are approved. Since in this example we have just submitted our document vault for the first time, there won't yet be comments or expiration dates, but we are able to see the reviewer's name and email address at the top of the report. If you would like to contact your reviewer, you can click on the address to open up an email to them. This is another example of a pre-qualification application status report. In this case, the reviewer noted that there are concerns with questions number 11 and number 14, and you should address them. Also note, as we scroll down to the IRS 990, Audit Reviews and Findings, and CHAR 500 sections, that it shows when these documents expire. Another useful link in the management screens is the Status History link. Clicking here will show you the history of your document vault. In this case, it was initialized, submitted, and is now under review by the state agency. One last thing to note is the task that we originally had at the beginning of this session no longer exists because our document vault has been submitted and is now in the hands of the state agency. This concludes this Document Vault training video. Please look for our other videos and remember to refer to the documents and guides at the Grants Reform website at grantsreform.ny.gov.